Welcome back to Dr. Welling Insights, the channel dedicated to helping you understand the science of healthy aging and cognitive longevity. I'm Dr. Welling, and today we're exploring one of the most important health topics for anyone over 60, the morning habits that are silently increasing your risk of developing dementia. Dementia is one of the most feared health conditions among older adults, and understandably so. It gradually steals your memories, your independence, your ability to recognize loved ones, and ultimately, your sense of self. What millions of people don't realize is that dementia risk isn't solely determined by the genetic hand you were dealt. Your daily habits, especially the habits you practice every single morning, have an enormous influence on whether you'll develop cognitive decline as you age. The truly encouraging news is that once you understand which morning habits are undermining your brain health, you have the power to change them. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which 5 morning habits are quietly raising your dementia risk and what evidence-based alternatives you should implement instead to protect your brain. This knowledge could genuinely add years of healthy, sharp cognitive function to your life. If you're over 60 yourself, or if you care about someone who is, this information is absolutely critical for your health decisions. Please watch all the way through, and if this information resonates with you, subscribe to Dr. Welling Insights so you don't miss future videos about preventing age-related diseases and maintaining cognitive sharpness. Before we dive into the specific habits that damage your brain, let me explain the biological mechanisms that connect your daily routines to dementia risk. This foundation is important because it will help you understand not just what to avoid, but why these habits matter. Your brain is the most complex organ in your entire body, containing approximately 86 billion neurons, which are specialized cells that communicate with each other through both chemical and electrical signals. These neurons form trillions of connections called synapses, and these connections are where all your thinking, memory, emotions, and consciousness happen. Throughout your life, your brain is constantly forming new connections, pruning old ones that are no longer useful, and reorganizing itself based on your experiences and behaviors. This remarkable ability is called neuroplasticity, and it's one of the brain's most incredible features. Your brain has the remarkable ability to literally rewire itself based on how you use it and how you treat your body. Dementia, including the most common form called Alzheimer's disease, develops when proteins called amyloid beta and tau begin to accumulate abnormally in the brain. These proteins form plaques and tangles that damage and kill neurons. Over time, as more and more neurons die, cognitive function declines. The critical thing you need to understand is that this pathological process typically begins decades before a person shows any noticeable symptoms of cognitive decline. Someone might not notice memory problems or confusion until their 60s or 70s, but the damaging protein accumulation in their brain might have started quietly in their 40s or even their 30s. This is why what you do in your morning routine right now matters so profoundly. The habits you practice now, during your morning, during your working years, influence whether these damaging proteins will accumulate in your brain years from now, during your retirement, and later years. The first morning habit that quietly raises dementia risk after 60 is skipping breakfast, or eating a poor quality breakfast that provides inadequate nutrition. You've probably heard the saying that breakfast is the most important meal of the day many times throughout your life. While that statement is sometimes oversimplified, there is genuine and solid science behind it, especially when it comes to brain health and cognitive function. When you sleep at night, your body goes through an extended period without food, typically 8 to 12 hours depending on when you ate your last meal and when you wake up in the morning. During sleep, your brain continues to work intensely, processing the events of the day, consolidating memories, and performing important maintenance and repair functions. When you wake up in the morning, your brain needs fuel to function properly and optimally. If you skip breakfast, your blood glucose levels remain low throughout the morning. Glucose is the brain's primary fuel source, what it runs on just like gasoline runs a car. Without adequate glucose, your brain cells can't function at their best. They operate in a state of reduced energy, unable to perform their normal functions optimally, including the critical processes that protect against the accumulation of amyloid beta and other toxic proteins. Low blood glucose also triggers your body to release stress hormones, particularly a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that your body produces in response to stress and perceived threats. In the short term, cortisol helps you respond to challenges and emergencies. But when cortisol levels remain elevated chronically, when you're constantly in a state of mild stress, cortisol actually damages the hippocampus, which is the brain region most critical for forming new memories and for spatial navigation. Chronic elevation of cortisol literally shrinks the hippocampus, Research using advanced brain imaging techniques has shown that people who consistently skip breakfast have measurably smaller hippocampi than people who eat breakfast regularly. This isn't a small difference. This is a significant structural difference in the brain. Beyond just eating something for breakfast, what you eat matters tremendously for your brain health. If you eat a breakfast high in refined carbohydrates and added sugars, you create a different problem, but an equally harmful one. Refined carbohydrates are quickly broken down into glucose by your digestive system, causing a rapid spike in blood sugar. This rapid spike triggers your pancreas to release a large amount of insulin, the hormone that helps cells take up glucose from the bloodstream. When blood sugar spikes rapidly and then crashes just as rapidly, it creates inflammation throughout your brain and your entire body. Chronic inflammation damages neurons and accelerates the accumulation of amyloid beta. A breakfast of sugary cereal, a pastry or donut, or a sweetened beverage creates this harmful pattern. Over time, this pattern contributes to dementia risk. What you should do instead is eat a breakfast containing protein, healthy fats, and whole grains or vegetables, all combined together. Protein takes longer to digest than simple carbohydrates, providing sustained energy throughout the morning and preventing the blood sugar crashes that damage your brain. Healthy fats support the structure and function of brain cell membranes. Whole grains and vegetables provide fiber, which slows glucose absorption and prevents the blood sugar spikes that trigger inflammation. A good, brain-protective breakfast might include scrambled eggs with whole wheat toast and avocado, oatmeal topped with nuts and berries, plain yogurt with nuts and fresh fruit, or avocado toast on whole grain bread with a side of berries. These are all options that provide protein, healthy fats, and slow-digesting carbohydrates. The second morning habit that raises dementia risk is skipping your morning water intake and remaining dehydrated throughout the early part of your day. This might sound simple or even trivial, but dehydration is remarkably common among older adults and has profound effects on brain function and cognitive performance. During the night when you're sleeping, your body loses water through respiration and through perspiration, even though you're not actively sweating. When you wake up in the morning, you're in a mildly dehydrated state. Most people's first instinct is to have coffee or tea, which are caffeinated beverages that actually increase urine production and can worsen the state of dehydration. Even mild dehydration, where you lose just 2% of your body's water content, impairs cognitive function measurably. Your brain is approximately 75% water. Water is not just filler in your brain. Water is essential for brain cell function. When you're dehydrated, the water content of your brain decreases, which means less optimal functioning of brain cells and reduced blood flow to brain tissue. Your brain cells need water to maintain their shape, to transport nutrients, and to remove waste products. Research studies have shown that dehydration impairs attention, memory, and processing speed, all of which are cognitive functions that decline significantly in dementia. Attention problems make it hard to focus and learn new information. Memory problems are obvious. Slowed processing speed makes it harder to understand conversations and make quick decisions. Additionally, dehydration affects something called the glymphatic system, which is essentially your brain's cleaning system or sewage system. During sleep, your brain activates a waste clearance system that removes toxins and accumulated proteins, including the dangerous amyloid beta we discussed. This system relies on adequate cerebrospinal fluid flow through your brain, washing away toxins as it goes. Dehydration reduces cerebrospinal fluid production and flow, meaning your brain's cleaning system doesn't work as effectively as it should. If amyloid beta isn't cleared efficiently from your brain night after night, it accumulates and damages neurons. The solution is straightforward and simple. Drink water first thing in the morning before consuming anything else. Drink at least 8 ounces and preferably 16 ounces of water within the first 30 minutes of waking up. This rehydrates your brain, activates your glymphatic system, and prepares your body for the day ahead. You can add lemon slices or cucumber slices to make the water more appealing if plain water doesn't excite you, but avoid adding sugar or artificial sweeteners, which create different health problems. If water seems boring to you, you could drink herbal tea without added sugar, but plain water is ideal because it hydrates without introducing other substances your body has to process. The third morning habit that raises dementia risk is remaining sedentary and skipping morning movement or exercise. This is a common pattern in our modern era, where many people wake up, shower, and then sit down to eat breakfast at a table or work at a desk or watch television. They might not move their body in any significant way until hours into their day, or sometimes not at all. Physical inactivity is one of the strongest modifiable risk factors for dementia. When I say modifiable, I mean it's something you can change. Unlike your age or your genetics, which you can't change, you can absolutely change how much you move. Exercise is beneficial for brain health in multiple important ways. When you exercise, you increase blood flow to your brain, delivering more oxygen and more glucose to brain cells. You increase levels of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which supports neuron survival and the growth of new neurons. Exercise reduces inflammation throughout your body and your brain. It lowers cortisol levels and reduces your overall stress burden. It promotes the growth of new neurons in the hippocampus through a process called neurogenesis, literally growing new brain cells. Exercise also improves sleep quality, and good sleep is critical for the glymphatic system to clear amyloid beta from your brain. Research has consistently shown that people who are physically active have lower dementia risk than sedentary people, even when controlling for other factors. One large study following thousands of people over many years found that even moderate physical activity reduced dementia risk by 30%. More intense or more frequent exercise provided even greater protection, with some studies showing dementia risk reductions of up to 50%. The critical thing is that you don't have to spend hours in a gym or do intense exercise. Morning movement can be as simple as a 20-minute walk around your neighborhood, some gentle yoga, dancing, swimming, cycling, or any activity that gets your heart rate elevated and keeps it elevated for at least 20 minutes. The key is to do it regularly, ideally every single morning if possible. If you can't exercise every morning due to time constraints or other reasons, aim for at least 5 days per week. Starting your day with movement sets a positive tone for your entire day and provides immediate protection for your brain. As a bonus, morning exercise helps regulate your blood sugar throughout the day and improves sleep that night, creating a positive cycle. The fourth morning habit that raises dementia risk is excessive caffeine consumption, particularly on an empty stomach without having eaten food. Many people wake up and immediately consume large amounts of caffeine through coffee, strong tea, or energy drinks, often without eating any food first. While moderate caffeine consumption has some benefits for brain health, excessive caffeine intake creates problems, especially in older adults whose brains are more vulnerable to damage. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is a molecule that builds up during waking hours and accumulates in your brain cells. Adenosine signals your brain that it's time to rest and sleep. By blocking adenosine, caffeine keeps you awake and alert, which is why people drink it. However, excessive caffeine consumption, particularly in the morning before eating any food, causes a stress response in your body. It increases your heart rate, increases blood pressure, and increases the release of cortisol and other stress hormones. As I mentioned earlier, chronic cortisol elevation damages the hippocampus and increases inflammation in the brain, both of which increase dementia risk. Excessive caffeine also interferes with sleep quality that night. Many people think caffeine only affects them if they drink it in the afternoon or evening. But research studies show that caffeine consumed early in the morning can still impair sleep quality that same night, even if you don't consciously notice that your sleep is worse. Poor sleep is directly linked to increased amyloid beta accumulation in the brain. During deep sleep, your glymphatic system is highly active and clears amyloid beta. If your sleep is fragmented or shallow due to caffeine consumption, this crucial clearance process doesn't happen efficiently. Additionally, caffeine consumed on an empty stomach creates a rapid spike in stress hormones without the buffering effect of food in your stomach. This creates a more intense stress response. This is particularly harmful to your brain. If you're a coffee or tea drinker, limit yourself to 1 to 2 cups of coffee or tea per day, and always consume it after you've eaten a substantial breakfast. The food in your stomach buffers the stress response and prevents the harmful spike in cortisol that damages your brain. A better strategy is to drink water first when you wake up, eat a nutritious breakfast, and then have your coffee. This way, you get any potential benefits from caffeine while minimizing the harmful effects on your brain. The fifth morning habit that raises dementia risk is poor sleep quality the night before and inadequate sleep duration. While this technically happens at night rather than in the morning, it profoundly affects your morning and influences your entire day and your brain health. Sleep is when your brain does its most important maintenance and repair work. During deep sleep, your glymphatic system becomes highly active and efficient, clearing toxic proteins including amyloid beta from your brain tissue. If you consistently get insufficient sleep night after night, this critical clearance process doesn't happen effectively, and amyloid beta accumulates in your brain. Additionally, during sleep, your brain consolidates memories. The process of converting short-term memories into long-term memories happens during sleep, particularly during the REM stage of sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, or if your sleep is fragmented, your brain doesn't consolidate memories effectively. This is why poor sleep leads to cognitive decline and memory problems. You probably know this from experience. After a night of poor sleep, you feel fuzzy and forgetful. Research studies have shown that people who sleep less than 6 hours per night have higher dementia risk than people who sleep 7 to 8 hours per night. The relationship is not linear, meaning more sleep is not always better. Sleeping 9 or more hours regularly is also associated with increased dementia risk, but this is usually because excessive sleep is often a symptom of underlying health problems like depression, sleep apnea, or other medical conditions. The goal is 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night. To sleep better and protect your brain, establish a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time every single day, even on weekends. This helps regulate your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. Your bedroom should be cool, dark, and quiet. Brain imaging studies show that people sleep better in cool rooms, around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid screens for at least 1 hour before bed, as the blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production and interferes with sleep. Melatonin is the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. Avoid alcohol before bed, as while alcohol might help you fall asleep initially, it severely disrupts sleep quality and prevents the deep sleep where amyloid beta clearing happens. Avoid large meals close to bedtime. If you have trouble sleeping, avoid napping during the day, as this reduces your sleep drive at night. If you consistently have poor sleep despite these measures, talk to your doctor about possible causes like obstructive sleep apnea, which is very common in older adults and significantly increases dementia risk. Now that you understand these 5 morning habits and how they affect dementia risk, let me explain the broader picture of how all these habits work together synergistically. Your morning routine doesn't exist in isolation. It sets the tone for your entire day. It influences your blood sugar stability, your hydration status, your stress hormone levels, the amount of inflammation in your body and brain, and your energy and mood. These factors compound and interact with each other. A person who skips breakfast, doesn't exercise, becomes dehydrated, drinks excessive caffeine, and slept poorly the night before is creating a perfect storm for brain damage. Over years and decades, these habits create chronic inflammation, chronic stress, chronic poor sleep, and chronic amyloid beta accumulation. Neurons are damaged and die. Brain volume decreases. Cognitive function declines. Conversely, a person who eats a healthy breakfast, drinks water first thing, exercises, limits caffeine, and sleeps well is creating an optimal environment where their brain can thrive and where amyloid beta is efficiently cleared. The difference between these two scenarios compounds dramatically over years and decades. By age 80, someone who had good morning habits might still have sharp, intact cognition, while someone with poor morning habits might have significant dementia. Let me also address some important context about dementia and aging that gives me hope. Dementia is not an inevitable part of aging. This is critically important to understand. Many people live into their 90s and beyond with sharp, intact cognitive function. The difference between people who develop dementia and people who maintain cognitive function often comes down to lifestyle factors like the ones we've discussed. Your genetics do play a role. If you have family members who develop dementia, your genetic risk is somewhat elevated. But even people with strong genetic risk factors can prevent or delay dementia through healthy lifestyle habits. Studies of people with the APOE4 gene, which significantly increases Alzheimer's risk, have shown that those who exercise regularly, sleep well, stay mentally active, maintain social connections, and eat healthy diets develop dementia at lower rates than people without the gene who don't practice these habits. This shows that even if genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. You have more control than you might think. Beyond the 5 morning habits we've discussed, there are other important factors for dementia prevention that I want to mention briefly. Cognitive stimulation matters greatly. Your brain needs to be challenged and engaged regularly. Learning new things, solving puzzles, reading challenging books, engaging in complex conversations, and pursuing hobbies all stimulate your brain and build what's called cognitive reserve. Social connection is critical for brain health. Loneliness and social isolation are risk factors for dementia. Maintaining close relationships and regular social interaction protects your brain. Diet matters beyond breakfast. A Mediterranean-style diet, rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fish, olive oil, and nuts, is associated with lower dementia risk. The Mediterranean diet is anti-inflammatory and provides nutrients that support brain health. Managing cardiovascular health is important because what's good for your heart is good for your brain. High blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol all increase dementia risk. Managing stress through meditation, yoga, or other relaxation techniques protects your brain by keeping cortisol levels lower and reducing inflammation. Limiting alcohol consumption protects your brain. Avoiding tobacco protects your brain. These are all modifiable factors that you can control. Let me also clarify something important about memory changes and normal aging, because not all memory changes indicate dementia. Normal aging involves some slowing of processing speed and some decline in the ability to multitask or divide your attention between multiple things. You might occasionally forget where you put your keys or the name of someone you met briefly at a party. You might forget an appointment occasionally. This is normal and doesn't indicate dementia. Dementia involves significant memory loss that interferes with daily functioning. You might forget important appointments repeatedly. You might get lost in familiar places. You might have difficulty managing finances or medications. You might repeat the same questions or tell the same stories within minutes, not remembering you just said them. You might have difficulty following conversations or understanding simple instructions. If you or someone you know is experiencing these kinds of changes, it's important to see a doctor for evaluation. Early detection of cognitive decline can sometimes slow progression, and ruling out treatable causes of cognitive impairment is important. Sometimes memory problems are caused by treatable conditions like vitamin B12 deficiency, thyroid problems, depression, or medication side effects. The science of dementia prevention is genuinely encouraging because it shows that you have significant power to protect your brain through your choices. You can't control your age, you can't rewrite your genetics, but you can control what you eat for breakfast. You can control whether you drink water when you wake up. You can control whether you exercise. You can control your caffeine intake. You can control your sleep habits through the choices you make during the day. These are all within your power, and they make a real difference in your long-term brain health and cognitive function. If you're 60 or older, I encourage you to evaluate your current morning routine honestly. Ask yourself, which of these 5 habits do you struggle with? Which habits could you change starting tomorrow? Start with one change. If you currently skip breakfast, start eating a healthy breakfast tomorrow. If you're dehydrated, start drinking water first thing when you wake up. If you're sedentary, start a short morning walk. Don't try to change everything at once, as that's overwhelming and typically leads to failure and frustration. Pick one habit, master it over a few weeks, and then add another. Over time, these changes become automatic, part of your routine, and your brain will thank you for decades to come. Your future self, the version of you at 80 or 90 years old, will be grateful for the choices you make today. The information in this video is educational and based on current scientific research from peer-reviewed studies. However, everyone's situation is unique and individual. If you have concerns about cognitive decline, if you have a family history of dementia, or if you want personalized advice about dementia prevention, please consult with your doctor. Your doctor can evaluate your specific risk factors, run tests if necessary, and provide recommendations tailored to your individual circumstances. Some people might benefit from additional interventions beyond lifestyle changes, and your doctor can help determine what's right for you. Your doctor also knows your complete medical history and any medications you take that might affect your brain health. If you found this information valuable and potentially protective of your long-term brain health, please subscribe to Dr. Welling Insights. Subscribing helps us reach more people and provide them with critical health information that could change their lives and protect their brains. Share this video with family members and friends who are 60 or older. The people you care about deserve to know this information. Your support through subscriptions and shares helps us continue creating content that empowers people to take control of their health and protect their minds. Thank you for watching Dr. Welling Insights, and I hope this information helps you protect your brain and maintain your cognitive sharpness and mental clarity for many decades to come.